Hello and welcome to another video. Today we will talk about the thing that people always ask, like, okay, what do I improve? What do I try to get better at? What do I do to climb? Whatever, right? And the answer is a bit more, let's say, convoluted than you might think. It's also a bit surprising compared to what people might expect. Because you're always told your whole life when you watch any kind of content, it's like, get better, improve, that will make you climb, right? It's not always true though. I mean, you will climb if you improve enough, sure, yes, but there are certain things in the game that just won't make you climb as much as others. And here I'm specifically targeting people who are between iron and diamond. Because if you're above diamond, then improving is going to be usually your best way, because even if you edge out a little bit of LP, getting to like GM Chal is going to be pretty difficult if you're horrible at everything. So you're gonna have to get at least decent at stuff anyway. So here I have like a few things, right? So improvement and climbing, right? So here we are not talking about what is the best way to improve, because the best way to improve is always going to be the stuff that people told you. Obviously there is more stuff that you can go for, but people don't really usually talk about it because first of all it's hard to teach, second of all you have to be pretty specific, and third of all the easiest way to really teach it is to go into champion specific depth, and you have to have people also follow it, and it takes a while to explain, so people don't like to do that. I'm going to try to do that in the coming week or so, and I'm not sure which champion I'm going to do it for yet, if it's going to be Evelynn or an ADC champ or Cortez or whatever. I don't know. Maybe Evelynn, I don't know. I'll think about it. And basically, this concept is fighting. So everything that is included in fighting. So why is this so good, right? If you want to improve, fighting, or rather being good at fighting, is very important anyway. Because what really makes you a very good player at the top of the ladder? Well, if you think about the players who are regarded as the best of the best, right? They're always mechanically really good. Now, I'm not saying that you have to become mechanically insane, right? But there is stuff that you can do that isn't so mechanical in fighting. But why are those players so good when they're mechanically good? Well, that's because they can fight well, right? If you think about it. And why is Korea so good and China? Well, because those regions are really good at fighting. That's the main difference between like Europe and shit and like Korea, and especially NA. Like NA has no clue how to fight usually. That's the thing. And then okay, so how does this manifest itself? So for example, a lot of you probably watched Tarzan at least at some point, at least a little bit, and one thing that I saw him like talk about quite a lot when he played his games is, guys, stop making me frontline, stop playing backline, why are you playing backline, not using your HP bars? And what is that really? That's a part of the concept of fighting. So this fighting concept has quite a few things, right? Like for example mechanics, or how you set up fights, right? So I don't know, like that can be based on waves, based on like HP, based on items, whatever, what kind of advantages you have, cooldowns, whatever, right? How you approach fights, right? How you this approach can be split into two things actually. One thing is how you approach before the fight, and how you approach after it, right? Or during it, I suppose I should say. So how you approach during the fight. So these are kind of different things, and there are obviously more things you can go into with fighting. But why is this the thing that will make you climb the most? Well, that's what I really want to explain with this video, and maybe then you will get an idea of why I think this is really important and why I think I'll make like a few videos on it so that people can try to learn it, I suppose. So first of all, if you play any role in the game, if you know how to take fights generally, you will not be below like diamond on any role, right? And if you know how to take fights decently, you will not be like below master in any role really. If you like obviously have some decision making, some mechanics, and some ability to fight, then you will not really be below those elos. But okay, so now let's compare two players, right? So let's say that you're player 1, and I don't know, we can pick any role here, right? Like let's say ADC first, because I don't know, ADC players love content for some reason. I don't know. I think because it feels a bit more helpless because you play with a fucking reject on your lane. Okay, so okay, let's say that we are the first ADC player and we decide to just ward the river, right? And then the jungle comes and we like back off, right? And yeah, that's like pretty good. We're like improving with that, right? Then maybe another level to that is, okay, we learn when this is going to happen, so we actually crash our waves at that time so that when the jungler does come, we don't lose anything, right? And then like another level to this can be like, okay, maybe we like, I don't know, punish the enemy so the jungler has to come, and then maybe we like go fight the jungler or something. I don't know, whatever, right? Kind of like decision type things, right? So the way I split it up, fighting and thinking, right? So if you think about these things that I just mentioned, you would think, okay, this is like kind of improvement focused and kind of thinking focused, right? So pretty good, right? Well, if you're like gold or plat or something, yeah, I mean that's chill, it's cool. But the thing is, okay, let's compare this player to a player who does like the opposite, right? And let's just have a little thought experiment and think about how many times each player will win out of 100 against the other player, right? So now let's take the player that just wants to climb and maybe like a bit of improvement, but he just wants to improve at fighting. I think it's also the most fun part of the game, fighting. So, I mean, for me at least, it's the most fun part of the game, and I think for many people it is. So, it's also like, in terms of fun, it's a pretty decent way to start improving, because when you see results with that, then it's also, if you improve your thinking skills, let's say, then you can do other stuff. And I think a lot of fighting can be improved because it is very approach focused. For example, a part of fighting that I talked about in some of my videos is the Evelynn thing, where you do like E and then Q rather than doing Q and then E. Why? Well, many reasons. First of all, you don't get your charm often. Your Qs can aggro onto minions because you miss it and put it on a minion. You lose like 10,000 damage because your mark is gone. You don't follow the enemy because your E, like you didn't cast it in time. You stand still and the enemy gets away from you. You don't get movement speed, like whatever, right? Like 10 trillion reasons why it could be bad. But okay. So now the thought experiment, right? We have this guy who permafights. He slow pushes every wave. That's all he knows how to do, right? And sometimes he crashes and he like bounces, right? That's all he knows how to do. He just knows how to slow push. And sometimes like bounce. These two concepts are the only things that he knows, right? The other guy knows how to slow push, how to fast push, how to freeze, you know, how to respect jungle, ward, I don't know, some other bullshit, right? I don't know. Okay, but now this guy is just really good at slow pushing and bouncing, or just decent at whatever, but then he's like really good at trading and like fighting in general. And this guy's just like macro wise like good, right? Like mid game macro, late game macro, right? Like all that is great, and then like early game he like knows his decisions, and if his support plays well, he will win, right? Okay, if this is like gold plat, like which one of these players do you think will win? The way that I see it, like to me, this player will get this player and his support to half HP or less, and he will keep slow pushing. And then in most cases, against most junglers, if you get ganked, this guy will just fight it. And if he trades like 2 for 2 or something when he gets ganked, that's pretty decent already. Sometimes he can triple kill, sometimes he can kill 2, sometimes he kills like, I don't know, 1 for 1 or just 1 for 2 or whatever. And he just trades kills. And do you know what happens when you trade kills? Well, when you do nothing, right, and you do like the proper macro play and you're like chilling, you're like, okay, I won't die to ganks, I'm respecting stuff, whatever, right? What happens is, okay, so maybe you got like a bit ahead. So let's say that with good wave management, right, you got like a 100 gold lead. So you're like plus 100, enemy is minus 100, I don't know, whatever. So let's say you're like up 200 gold, right? That's pretty good, right? Okay. That's pretty good. Then you get like, ganked, whatever, and then this lead like equalizes, and then maybe you're like 100 gold up, right? But your jungler got like so much tempo advantage, but your jungler is like not human, so nothing happens. Then you just lose. Like, I mean, obviously this doesn't happen every game, but a lot of the games this happens. Like, you will have this advantage, you will have like a small lead. This can be 100 gold, this can be like 500 gold, whatever, right? Like, you will have a lead. And then your teammates should have a lead as well. You did a lot for them, right? You never died to ganks, you had prio, you were like wasting the enemy's time, like you're. And then you press tab and 0-3, 0-3, 0-3, FF15, right? So while I get why people always recommend to improve on thinking, and I also did it for a long time, mostly because, well, as I said before, it's easier to do, it's easier to help people with that, and it's also slightly easier for people to improve in that. But I think with the way that the game is, it's not that much easier to improve in thinking compared to fighting, especially because there are a lot of approach things in fighting. But I think a lot of people just don't really get how to fight as well. And the thing is also, the people who do know how to fight, a lot of them either don't make educational content, or the issue is that they don't really know, like, you have to think about why the fights work, right? So if you don't really think about it and you just do it intuitively because you played the game a lot or whatever, or you just have good mechanics or whatever, then you won't really be able to teach it in any sense of the word, I suppose. Yeah. Then, okay, so why is the other guy really advantaged though? So if you trade kills, right? So what ends up happening is, in the first scenario that I showed you, right, we would have something like, okay, maybe your mid laner has 6k gold, your jungler has 6k, your top laner has 6k, and you maybe have like, I don't know, 8k, let's say, right? But then the enemy mid has 8k, enemy jungle has 8k, or even more, right? They probably have even more, but let's say it's like this, right? Then these two have like 6k or something, I don't know. 6-5 and then 8-6. Yo, dream man for many women. 6-5. Okay, so you have something like this. Like, this is not really gonna end well for you, especially because when you back off and stuff a lot, you don't really get to take the tower, and because you don't get to take the tower early, you don't have the win con. For example, what I did in, like, I played Draven Cortis bot lane against like some master players, so it's not really high elo, but okay, high enough, whatever. I played against like Jhin and some support. I don't know what it was, I think. But then at 10 minutes, I had 100 CS and he had 20. And I had his tower like on one plate. And why is that? Well, what I did over and over is I would stack 3 waves, push it in, Cortis would like suicide or whatever, and I get the kill, and then I would just base, repeat, because the wave would bounce, he would lose the whole wave, it bounces. I'm way stronger, I stack waves again, I push it in again, we kill them again, reset again, do the thing again. And you see how this is literally what I talked about, where it's like, oh, slow push and bounce, it's all the guy knows how to do, and then fight. But that's literally all I did, right? And a lot of the games you can do stuff like that. And the thing is, even if you trade kills, what ends up happening in this game is, okay, so let's say that you traded like 3 kills, right? Or, I don't know, let's say you traded 2 for 2, okay? You got 600 gold, enemy ADC got like, I don't know, 600 also, let's say. That's fine, whatever, that doesn't matter, right? And then let's say you did that like 3 times, suddenly you're like 10k gold, enemy ADC is maybe 10k gold. This is like worst case scenario, by the way, where the enemy ADC is like going even with you, even though you have a lot of gold. But usually, if you're like better in the enemy ADC, then you just end up like abusing them really hard because you have so much gold, right? And when you have gold, then the better player will kinda win, I suppose. Like if you're a really strong early game champ, then you shouldn't really go 2 for 2. And if you're not a really strong early game champ, then you will scale well and have a lot of impact. And if you're a better player, you can do more, right? But then, okay, you look at this and you're like, okay, well, now my mid top jungle still have 6k gold, but enemy mid top jungle have like 8k like before, right? But see how this is a lot easier for you to play. Okay, I mean, it sucks a bit that this guy has 10k gold. This is like the worst case scenario, right? But still, if I just kill this guy, I am going to get a shutdown for sure, because if he's even with me and I'm really huge, he's going to be a shutdown and I'm not going to be a shutdown, kinda. And then I can be like 12k gold easily if I take this tower as well, and I don't know, whatever, maybe some other tower or something, right? I can be like 12k gold. And if I'm like 12k gold and these fuckers are like 9k at that point, right? And this guy's like 10 still, or 11, whatever, I can carry the game really easily, right? So this is why I think fighting is such a good skill, and I think it's really rewarding and really fun, and also makes, I mean, I think it just makes the game a lot more fun to play. So that's why I'm gonna try to teach some of those basics. But this video was mostly just to demonstrate the concepts of why it's good to learn, and why decision-making type gameplays don't always really reward you fully. The same thing happens in mid lane and stuff, and top lane and jungle. Like, it's just playing full decision making doesn't always reward you. I mean, it's more rewarding in these lanes than it is on ADC, because you don't have a downer like support player. You do still have a downer here, though. Like, you have a downer mid laner or a top laner. We have a downer jungler or something. I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, you just have something, right? You have team diff. Everyone has team diff. Obviously, though, you can't just like full clear and then, I don't know, do something and then do something and come up with something, and okay, cool. You can do that. That's fine on jungle. But if you looked at my series on Evelynn, where I climbed with that, it was still a lot of fighting. So what I would do is I would just full clear, right? And then I would show up here, and then I would just know, okay, do I gank this? Do I gank this? Or do I fight him, right? Or something, you know? And this is fighting as well. Like, knowing where I can fight and how and whatever, right? It's also fighting. Like, I would just kill the enemy jungler in most of my games in lower elo. Like, until I think high diamond, I just killed enemy jungler in most games. And by invading and whatever. But yeah, I mean, there are just too many concepts to teach it in one video, so I'm not gonna do it right now. But I hope the takeaway here for you is that if you're playing a bit more egoistical and fighting style, then what ends up happening is that the map kind of gravitates towards you, if you can imagine that. So if you imagine resources as a form of, let's say, gravity, it's kind of autistic, but whatever. So where does all the gold and XP and stuff generate, right? And where does it all accumulate? Well, in the example that I said before, right, it's bot lane, right? So you basically have a massive fucking black hole in bot lane, and whoever comes here is either gonna collect everything and like run away, or they're never gonna be seen again, right? And if you collect everything, you come out of the black hole, and you're, I don't know, Cassidy now, when he came out of the void and he was 90% ban rate in season 3. So yeah, okay. I think that's enough. So thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, then like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time, hopefully with my first part of the fighting series. Bye bye.